Hi, this is Aaron Short.
And this is Carrie and Jared from Tone Wars.
What's up, everybody?
And we're here today to talk about the process of recording our cover of the song Shallow.
In the shallow, in the shallow.
Hey!
What's going on?
We are releasing our collaboration of a cover of the song Shallow. Are you excited?
Yes.
So very excited. It's been a long time coming, eh?
Yeah. It's been a while.
It has been a long time coming. When did we start to plan this? Can you guys remember?
It's like 2 years ago.
2
I
years?
think I just graduated from high school.
What?
I think it was like 2018 or 2019.
I think it was 19 we started planning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember who had the original idea, but why did we choose to do this song? In fact, I can't remember, but I think it worked out great because on my channel I do a lot of acoustic guitar and vocals, and the start of the song is acoustic guitar and vocals. And then the song builds into, like, I mean, you might say rock indie, maybe not quite the style that you guys do on your channel, but I could just envision it was rocky enough to have the electric guitar and a solo, and the solo was going to be interesting. We'll talk about that later on, because I wanted Jared to play the solo on it, and there's not a solo on the original. So yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I think the solo it came out really, really well. So we'll go over that process later on.
I think we picked the song because it was kind of popular at the time, and it was a duet, so we both could sing as well.
Yeah, of course, of course.
It just came out, and yeah, it was a pretty popular song, and there were a lot of covers that we were seeing, and a lot of different variations of it, and it was actually really cool. So, I mean. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've never done like an indie song like that before. So
he's more of a metal guy.
For sure. So I'm always down for the challenge, because I feel like if as musicians, you should always be able to do other types of genres. And
well, it's just fun to come out of yourself sometimes and try something new. It might open up different ways of thinking, different ways of writing, and like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah, you always learn something every time you step outside of your norms, So, and I learned quite a bit. So it was definitely worth doing, and it was a lot of fun. I would definitely say that I never thought of myself as a metal singer, and we've been in a metal project together for like 10 years. So it was kind of nice to step back into something that I was more familiar with. Yeah,
this song.
Exactly.
I got to say, for me it's great too, because I'm pushing myself to record and do different things and collaborate. But it's funny what you just said about many covers of that song, because as I was uploading it to the channel last night to post next week, I did a search for Shallow covers, and even now there's like a cover every day this week from some.
Really?
There's like a male duo that are doing it. There's a father and his like 5-year-old kid that are doing it. It's like, it's still a really popular song, but I think we gave it our own spin while staying faithful to the original, and I'm really happy with how it came out.
I think that's the goal when you do a song like this. You do like a tribute to it. You shouldn't do exactly what they did, because we've already heard that, with maybe different instruments and different voices, but it should be your take on it. And I think that that's what what makes it special. I mean, because it's the old saying, music's the art of thieves. But when we steal each other's stuff, we polish it up, repaint it, reshape it, make it our own. And now it's become its own thing that someone else can steal and do the same thing with, and so on and so forth. That's why music's evolved and changed so much over the years, is because everybody keeps doing that. And I think that that's what makes music so good, is because people are stealing each other's ideas, but they're also adding their own spin to it, making it different.
Yeah, well, you've got to perform it in your own way, right? So of course. So let's start with Carrie. So your vocals, how did you record the vocals for this, and how do you like to record typically when you record your vocals?
In all the good times I find myself longing for a change, and in the bad times I fear myself.
We went to a studio and had I paid an engineer to do it for me. So I just went in a vocal booth, sang my heart out, and I like to have somebody there with me, not in the vocal booth, obviously, but right outside the window to show encouragement and, you know, did that sound good? Did it sound good out there in the mix? Because what I'm hearing in my ears, what I like to hear when I record in my mix is, you know, me on top of everything else. So I want to make sure that it sounded good in the mix in the studio as well. So Jared typically comes with me for that, and he's my service animal. He's my studio service animal.
Well, at least you didn't say cheerleader, even though she did make me wear a cheerleader outfit and pom poms.
Okay. Too much information. For any vocalists that are watching though, like, do you have any anything you do routines when you record, or is there anything that you must have, or any I mean, I'm thinking even like food and drink that day. Is there any tips that you can give any vocalists that are watching?
So I don't have specific rituals. I don't know that I've been doing it long enough to, or as many times as you would need to come up with this. But what I do like to do when I'm in my car before I go into the studio, I do scales, but I specifically like to do it's like a bee noise, like with your lips, and go up and down with that. It loosens up your vocal cords. I see a little smirk on your face.
No, I do. You do well, I do it, but I'm just thinking that, you know, like the guitarist, if you're in the same car as the other musicians, that can really annoy them when you make those. Like, everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
To listen to him noodling as well. So.
Well, yes, it's give and take, isn't it? It's give and take.
Right.
Definitely.
So I do the you know, the buzz or whatever, but. Several years ago, we were working with King James, the band called King James, and I had really dry throat in the studio, and I think I was even probably sick at the time, and their singer had given me a tip to eat Lay's potato chips, plain, greasy Lay's potato chips, and it totally worked too. It just lubricated throat, vocal cords, and I got through the rest of the session, kicked some booty on that.
Yep, I remember that because he's got that southern accent.
Yeah.
I eat chips.
Yeah.
Just a nice bag of greasy chips.
Yep.
That fixes it every time.
And it sure does.
One thing we did do with this song, and look, this is a really hard song to sing, because I sometimes have guest vocalists with me at my acoustic shows. Like, there'll be someone at the show who said, "Oh, I can sing that with you," and especially that middle section where she really belts it, that goes up really high. So, and we did bring the key down a half step, right? And that was that was your decision. But I think it worked really well, because I think even the acoustic guitar sounds fatter when you tune down. And obviously, I think Jared, you tuned down a lot, right, with your stuff?
Yeah, I was down a half step with my purple guitar. That's always tuned down a half step, so it just sounds a little beefier. You know, you get a little thicker sound with it. So
it did. It suited my range more, and I just wanted to bring it on that part, like you said. It's a big moment in the song, and I didn't want to be struggling and nervous, like, oh, am I going to hit this note? I just wanted to be able to be confident and really belt it out for everybody. Yeah,
I think it worked well, because again, it changed the feel slightly of the whole song. And I think it worked great in that respect.
I think our voices sound really well together too.
Me too. Well. Me too. I'm really happy with how our voices blended on that. And also, like I said, we'll get to. Look, don't worry, Jared. We'll get to you on your solo, because that's for me, the way the voices blended, and that's the way that solo came out. Is just I love it. So I'm just trying to go through the process for people that are interested. So I sent you like a rough guide. I sent you my acoustic. And like some demo, so just like some loops and things, just like signal where parts would be. And I only sang the intro, I believe, because I was going to drop my other vocals in later on around you. So that's why I did that. So it was pretty bare bones at that point. And then when I got your tracks back, I edited those in and I replaced them with tracks that are more like the original recording, which I think then brought it up a notch, because it gave it more more interest and more detail and oomph. Yeah, and oomph too. And then just in case people are interested, when I recorded that acoustic guitar, it was my Dreadnought guitar, and I had a mic on it, a Neumann small diaphragm condenser, just one of these. And then I also did take a direct signal out and use an impulse response. And I say this because, you know, myself and Jared talk a lot about IRs with electric guitar. I used an IR of the acoustic on it, and I thought it sounded really good actually blending those two things together. But in the end, when I mixed it, I took the IR out and just used the mic. And I think that sounded, I actually think it sounded better in the end. Well, I don't know, that's subjective, isn't it? But just in case people are interested.
Yeah, I think the guitar sounds amazing. Yeah, the guitar sounded amazing to me. I thought it sounded really freaking good, you know. And so you just did it with one mic?
Yeah, just one mic. And, you know, it's hard to record, again, for people interested in this recording process. I love using a mic on the acoustic, but of course I'm in a apartment, right? So if you listen really carefully with headphones to that song, there are some noises at times from both the vocal mic and from the acoustic guitar mic as well. And that is a challenge with using the microphone. Those microphones are incredible because they pick up everything, but they're also a challenge because they pick up everything. And that's one thing about using mics, isn't it? When you're using the drum samples and when you're going direct with a guitar, electric guitar and bass, you don't have those challenges. But I think for acoustic guitar and vocals, the microphone, well, obviously with vocals, the microphone is just really essential. And I was really happy with how that came out too. I think for recording acoustic, you just want a really good acoustic guitar with fresh strings on it. And just, I mean, two mics would probably be better, but I mean, just one really high quality mic. And then I was thinking to myself, I'm going to go in and EQ it anyway. So you can then kind of change the sound when you EQ it. So that was that. And I did like a strumming part as well, which you can't really, you can kind of hear it. It's like a strumming part. But the most important part, of course, is that riff at the start.
Tell me something, boy.
Yeah, you played it well. I mean, it was really cool, and I love the way that you recorded your guitar because it really did sound very pure. It sounded really, really good. It sounded like you're just sitting in the room with. I was sitting in the room with you. Like it just sounded that pure. You know,
simple and beautiful, pure.
Thank you. I wish I could use a mic like that at my shows, you know, but of course I can't. But when you record, you've got, you know, because you're in the room and you're not live, you can use those mics and things like that, and it's just. It's really nice to use.
It's nice to hear some of the noise too, because it just adds that element of reality, you know, to it. It's kind of like when you watch movies and people are outside talking and you don't hear any
background
peripheral noise, and it's like it just doesn't sound right. It's like I'm supposed to hear like the sound of the neighborhood or dogs barking or wind, and I'm not hearing that. It's like, are you just on a set with a green screen? You know, it's like it's nice to hear that purity, because with music these days, there's not a lot of that anymore. Everything's so processed and fake, I guess, for lack of a better word. And it's just nice to have a little bit of like what Carrie says. I want to hear myself breathing.
I was gonna say, if I could jump in on that, every time we record, we always end up having to go back. The engineer will end up cutting out my breath or noises that your mouth makes, your lips and things like that. And I always tell them to put all those back in. That's part of my performance. I plan some of those things.
Or they'll try to tune stuff out. And she's like, why did you do that? I did that on purpose. Stop tuning everything. Just leave it natural. You know, I mean, it's all this overly perfectionized everything. It just gets old after a while, and
I can't achieve that live. I want to be able to sing it live.
Well, not only that, but it's nice to hear something real now, you know, and when you do a real sounding take on something or a real sounding album where you can actually hear the singer breathing and not everything's perfect. I don't know if you've ever seen that one channel, I forget the name of it, but he always takes like older recordings of like Journey or other bands, and he'll separate the tracks, and then he'll tune the vocals, you know, and then they sound terrible when he tunes them. They're terrible.
That's really interesting.
And it's like, he'll take Steve Perry, who's one of the greatest singers we've ever heard, and tune him like they would now, and then do a before and after, and it sounds so freaking bad. And you're like, wow, or he'll time a line, a
The
whole
drums, yeah,
song with the
yeah.
drums, and it just sounds robotic and terrible, and it
Mm.
lost all of its soul. So, yeah, keep the soul in your music, people. I mean,
Well,
that's really what makes it awesome.
I want to highlight this point because I mixed this thing, and I'm not, I'm not a professional mixer by any means, and I've done a few mixes over the years, and I kind of just drag things around until they sound right to me, and then I send it to someone else, and does it sound right to you? And then I send about 20 people until it gets roughly where I
Yeah.
want it. But the thing is, you mentioned, Carrie, that you like the breaths in there. See, my first thought is usually to take those out, and the fact that you said you like them in, I didn't. I may have turned some down, but I left them in. I left them in. No, but the thing is, it's a hard balance these days because I completely agree about keeping stuff in. I'm a big fan of Tom Waits, and on one of his songs, you can hear like the piano stool creaking like this, and you can hear the pedals going down, and you feel like you're sitting next to him on the piano. That is incredible. But the problem, one problem people may have, like me with this, is that a lot of it is samples, a lot of it is direct. So only the guitar and the vocals will like that. And I also think there's also a difference between like the noise of the fingers on the guitar or the breath of the singer and banging into the stand or having your neighbor's dog bark or something. I don't know, maybe not that, but you know what I mean? Like there's noises that you don't really want in there, and there's noises that are kind of cool, and it's getting that balance. And the other thing I'll put to you guys is, because I did use some tuning on this, right? Because everything else is so in tune. And I wanted our voices to really blend together. But the other thing is, I feel like people are so used to hearing that now that they'd be... that's the other thing. Yeah, I feel like I have to tune a little bit because everyone's so used to hearing everything being tuned. It almost might feel weird to people if it's not. So what are your thoughts? I mean, you've already kind of said your thoughts on that, but that's a balance that I had to take with this as well.
I don't mind a little tuning. Nobody's perfect. I just don't want to sound like a robot.
Well,
I think that
if you can hear it, it's better.
Yeah, I think that a lot of these tools that are used in music today were started out with good intentions. You know what I mean? But that's what they say. The road to hell is paved with
good intentions.
So what happens is, they come out with this tool that is like, well, the session's over, the vocalist is already flown to wherever they live, and I have to mix this, and oh my God, there's a note out of tune, or there's this or that. Well, I understand at that point, it makes more sense to just nudge the note where it needs to go, as opposed to, well, you got to fly back out here and do a retake on that. And you know what I mean? It's stuff like that where it's like completely appropriate, and I totally understand why that has been used. But now it's turned into this whole thing where it's like we tune everything all the time, we tune every single note, and it's just gone way too far, and now everything's just too perfect sounding. And again, going back to that one channel that I was talking about earlier, it doesn't sound as good, because if you take Steve Perry's vocals or anybody's vocals from back in the 80s before all this stuff started happening and tuned them, you would hate that song. It would have no soul. It would have no feeling. It would have no emotion. It would just sit on the shelf next to all the other plastic garbage that's out there today. And it's just soulless music. It's too perfect. It's just too much. And music should have quirks. It should have identifying noises and different things. I mean, it's okay to hear
freckles and birthmarks.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay to hear that stuff. Character, and it's okay to hear the fingers, squeaking across the strings as you're playing things, because it's real.
It's a person doing it.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I like about Yngwie Malmsteen so much, is that when you listen to his albums, he leaves all that stuff in there. Even when he bumps a string and ends a solo or something, and you can hear that, he doesn't care. He's like, that's what guitar sounds like. It's not supposed to sound perfect, And I love the character that you hear in these songs, because it reminds you that what you're listening to right now is real. It's not some over-processed plastic version of a song. So I say we need to pull all that stuff back and go back to use it as a tool, but not as a definitive way to do recordings.
Well, I think it's like reverb, it's like delay, it's like everything, right? Everything is there as a tool to enhance what you have. Like, you know, I used compression on this. So if you over compress it, it kills it as well, doesn't it? If you add too much reverb, it drowns it. Anything too much will kill it. But if you just use them as they're intended to be, like you said, like as a tool, then it's really, I think that's amazing. And there's some things like we had to record this to the click, right? We couldn't do it without a click because I had to be able to edit it. We had to do it remotely. If I was there with you in the room, we had a band with us, we could have just recorded it live, and that would be a whole different field to what we've got here. But I mean, I'm kind of in the middle. I like going live, as you know, and just playing, and you know, warts and all, as it always is. But I also like. I mean, this. You're right. This took a long time to do this, and I must have tweaked it a million times. But I also like the fact that what we're putting out is that, for me, it's just a different approach. But I do agree with you. You can definitely overuse stuff and make it. I think it's a balance. Like a lot of things in life, it's a balance, isn't it?
Everything in moderation.
Yeah. Apart from guitar amplifiers, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Says the guy who is surrounded by amps everywhere. Yeah.
I just wanted to add too that we appreciate the effort that you put into this. You definitely did a ton of work.
Thank you. It's very different to just doing like a live gig and it's kind of gone. I know we've got this, it'll be up on the channel for forever. So I think that's a really cool thing. And that's the great thing about this collaboration too, isn't it? Online. It's cool.
Oh, for sure. And to put a bow on everything that you just said, I mean, regarding the whole, you know, enhancements of things. I mean, when you're, you know, there's a difference between enhancing a performance and enhancing a song, you know? So, you know, keeping everything in moderation when it comes to enhancing performances, i.e., you know, tuning and all the other stuff that gets done. But when you're mixing and you're adding EQ and compression and, you know, really slamming that volume to the top, right where you should, and just making the song sound big. I don't have a problem with that because that's, you know, you're enhancing the final product and just putting that final bit of polish on it. You're not fixing anything with it. You're just making the whole thing bigger. Sonically, pleasing to people, you know, so that go for it. Slam it as hard as you can. That's what I'm about, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so the moment you've been waiting for, the guitar solo.
Yeah, that's why everybody's here for my right.
So no, I really like it. So the thing is, I imagined that. So I left the chorus going around, and I could imagine a solo on there. I didn't know what you were going to do, but you know, your songs that you've got solos on, they are very melodic. So I knew it would be like that. And I thought if he does something a bit melodic with a bit of flash in there, it'd be amazing. And that's kind of exactly what you did. So just talk us through. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted. I mean, as the producer, that's exactly what I wanted in there. So so talk us through that day you recorded that, your thought process and the gear you used to do that solo.
Here, let me do it for you. Oh my God, I gotta do this solo for Carrie. She won't stop bugging me. I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna fight with all of my equipment.
Is that true?
No. No, I did cartwheels all the way down here. No, so so here's a nice visual for you. So I literally sat at my computer desk, and I guess this is a testament to how great it is to have all this technology, as long as you use it in ways that, you know, you're not overusing it. So so we're doing a pandemic version of, you know, we're all, you know, you live in New York, we live in Michigan, and we're just doing this whole, you know, everybody's
separate places collaboration.
Yeah, exactly. So using this tech to do that is so handy. So I came down here with a cup of coffee. I'm in my pajamas and I'm sitting at my computer desk, and I pull up the song and I fired up my Ingle Savage and my aux box. Okay. I went direct in because it was just easier for me to record that way, as opposed to, because my computer desk is like 15 feet over there. So if I had my cab behind me going the whole time, you know, while I'm trying to hear the studio monitors, it would have been a mess, you know, trying to hear everything. So I used the aux box, which I thought was awesome. And I just plugged in and I just started writing one phrase at a time of the solo, and then I started piecing it together. And I was like, today's the day I got to get this done, you know? And my friend TJ Richardson actually taught me that process. He goes, well, if you're writing solos, he goes, the way I do it, I'll sit there and I'll agonize over each section. And then once it's done, it's printed. You don't forget what you did. And then you move on to the next one and you can always hear it back.
That's cool.
So that's pretty much what I did. And I just did a segment at a time. And I wanted to stay melodic with it because let's face it. I mean, if you're going to, I mean, yeah, I'm a metal guitar player and I do a little bit of shredding and stuff. But I think that you should always keep in mind to serve the song. Don't come in there and be like, well, yeah, I'm just going to obliterate this song with a billion notes. And it's like, well, all you did was just put your ego all over everything. I mean, you need to pull that back and let the song be first. You're presenting the song to people and you're enhancing something. So if you're going to be part of that process, don't make it all about you. The spotlight should be on the song, not you. You should be the one aiming the spotlight on the song with the parts that you're playing, you know? So that's what I tried to keep in mind. Now, everybody's going to aim the spotlight in their own way. You know, everybody's got their own style of doing that. So, of course, I'm going to put a little bit of something in there, but I like to do it in a way where it's not, look what I can do. It's just, I want to build energy. You know, there's certain parts of the song where you want to be laid back and have some melodic stuff. But then when you have a segment, you have this melodic segment and you have this melodic, you have this melodic segment and you have this melodic segment, and you want to tie those together somehow. You want to do that in a way where you're building energy from one segment to the other, and you're building all these little energy bridges with runs and different riffs and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I tied all that stuff together.
And you were thinking like that while sitting in there in your pajamas, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's my process. Honestly,
do we have B-roll of that? No, don't run the B-roll. No B-roll.
No, you don't want that.
But I remember that really clearly.
Really is my approach.
I remember that really clearly because you sent me the files, and then I gave you some feedback, and then when I had all the files, I did. You know, again, we get being full transparency here. I did, if I can say the word transparency. I did cut it up a little bit. I did actually rearrange it a little bit, which was then obviously a problem when I asked you to send me the file of you playing it, because you had to kind of relearn the way that I had edited it. So, but hey, sometimes that's cool too. Because I think I may have made it shorter. Maybe in the beginning I wanted it to be longer, and then I decided the shorter. And I moved one bit to another place because then I was taking the role of producer and kind of changing the message a little bit. So I guess, you know, the producer has,
and that's fine, because there was a couple of riffs. Yeah, there were a couple riffs I did in there that were a little on the experimental side. And I remember you called me and you're like, I don't know if those are going to work. And I'm like, take them out. You know, I mean, it's fine. I mean,
that's right.
And then I think what we did is we took the experimental riff out and scooched the end.
Yes.
Up to where, you know, where it should go, and then and shorten the solo. Yeah, because I remembered that riff was a little like, I don't even know if I like this, but maybe tomorrow I will. You know how that goes. So.
I love the solo, and you served the song, but you also put in that, like I said, that some flash in there as well to show what you do. I just think it's for me it was flair. You had flair. Yeah. So for me it was I just think I love it, and it's not in the original, and it makes it so original to have that solo. So I really like it. And then you put the power chords as well. And when they kick in, it really adds to the drama and the power as well, because it's just like, and you told me to turn those up, which I was unsure about. But once I did it, I'm like, yes, that sets up the rock theme for the solo that's coming in.
It gives it energy, and I just feel like you know, a lot of times people want to rely on the drummer to be the dynamic person in the band. It's like, oh yeah, hit harder or play this type of beat or whatever, and I get that. That definitely is, you know, important, but I also think that that's other people's jobs in the band as well. It's the whole band should raise their energy level, and when you come in with these big crushing chords, and they're mixed in properly. I mean, you're bringing in those waves of energy with each chord. There's just another wave crashing against the rocks, you know, and it really does add to the energy of the song. You know, like she upped, you know, her vocal energy on certain spots, and so did you, you know. So if everybody does it together, it doesn't make the drummer or whoever's raising their energy level to feel like they're at the wrong gig. You know, I mean, everybody's seen that video on Facebook where this drummer's at the wrong gig. This guy's just beating the hell out of his kid, and everyone else is just kind of, okay. You know, I mean, if everybody does it together, then the song definitely wins, you know.
But that's why I think it was the perfect song choice, because it's got like super mellow solo acoustic guitar, right? Then my voice comes in, which is pretty mellow as well, and that slowly builds. And then Carrie comes in, it's still kind of building, and then you get to her chorus where it goes up a notch, and then you get to the middle section with the belt, I'd say the belting part, where it goes up another notch, and then the guitars come in, and then the solo comes in, and then it's just like going up, 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 up. I love songs like that. It's just keep building and building and building, and you feel the energy in the performance. Well, I'm talking about your guys' performances. So I think it was a perfect choice for that reason, and I think that was like I said, I keep saying I'm really happy with it. I also want to give a shout out to the other musicians that are on here too, because I did replace the drum samples. Jared said to get some more like powerful drum samples, and I just happened to be talking to the brother of Tommy Luce, who works at G7 Capos, and his brother is Sam, and he was actually talking to me about doing some collaborations, and he does drum samples. So I said, this is great, I can use them in this song. So that worked out really well. And then
the drums sound amazing.
And then, I love what he's done there, and their links are in the description below. And also, I had a musician that was in my band and duo back in the UK, Johan Ting. He replaced the bass with his electric bass, which he just did a DI bass on there. So that's a real bass as well. And
nice.
I want to give them those guys a shout out. And then, I just kept mixing it and just asking people for feedback until I got the feeling where I felt it was done. And then I ran it through an online platform that I use, which does some basic mastering. It just basically makes it fatter, because I don't know how to master songs. So I put it in there, and if it sounds better to me, then I go with that. And that's how I mix and produce the song. But I'm happy. I'm happy with that. What I'm trying to say is, it's great not only that we can do these collaborations, but using the computer at home, we can do these tracks. Now, I'm not saying for a second that this is replacing like a real studio and a band and a real producer and a mixing mastering engineer, but the fact that we can do these things and make these videos at home now is really great for musicians. And I really enjoyed actually using the gear, as I'm sure you'll say you did too, but I enjoyed taking a step back from kind of analyzing all my gear and just using it to make the song, and that felt really good to me to do that.
I think it gave us something to do too at a time when, you know, we were used to gigging out and playing out. I know you do that as well. You get to go out and play live, as that's what you do for a living. And this gave us an opportunity to come together and do something during a time when we couldn't.
And then we put the video together. So just a quick thing about that. I used Final Cut Pro. You sent me your videos, and then you had the black background. So I put the green screen just behind me here. And so I would fit in with the video. And then same thing with that. I was like figuring out how to do the transitions and everything on there. But no, don't get me wrong. I really enjoy it, because the more, like you said, the more you learn, the more you can use in the next one, which is a great thing. And it's good to have the video. Some people just put the song up without the video, but I think the video really, I mean, that's why we do YouTube, right? Because it adds to have the people on the screen too. And then I uploaded that. And yes, of course, straight away it said the video has been copyright claimed by I think there's like 5 writers on this song, which is fair enough, but you can still post it and everything's fine. It's just they get the royalties, which I think is fair enough, because they wrote the song, right? So that was kind of the process from beginning to end. And you know, sometimes these processes take longer than others, but we did it. The song is done. And I'm really pleased we did that, and we got to collaborate, because I've wanted to collaborate for a long time, and this seems like a great way to do it. Like I said, to actually make something together, create something together, and put it out there on both our channels for people to watch. It's really cool. And I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with how it came out.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, we're happy with it too. We're happy to be part of it. And like I said, it was fun to step outside of myself and do something different. You know, sometimes it's fun just to see, like, can I fit in with this, you know, and it really tests your musicianship, you know, as opposed to your playing, you know, because there's two aspects to you as a musician. You're a player, but you're also a musician, and you
Performer.
yeah, and you have to find a way to mold those two together to serve the song the best. And you know, it's always a challenge doing that. So I was happy to do it.
Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you subscribe to Aaron Short Music and Tone Wars channel. The song will be linked below in the description, so please check it out. And if you like it, please share it with your friends, and we'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much, guys, for doing this. I really did enjoy it. I love doing these collaborations, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah, thank you. It was our pleasure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.